I'm with my painter friends from Tennessee. This is Doug Ferrari and Flamgu. That's Flamgu.
Hey.
We are in Colorado. Obviously, I'm on a big trip, but so are they. And we linked up here. These painters, they do anything from murals to little pieces the size of a bread loaf and big pieces the size of a mattress. Anything in between. They're both unbelievably skilled painters, and they are on this trip here in Colorado working together to sell their pieces at art shows all over the state. And these pieces are collaborative, right?
They are.
So they each have their individual styles. Ben paints a lot at concerts and music festivals. Do you do as well?
Yeah.
Okay. So they both paint at music festivals and shows, concerts. We actually went to one last night here in Lake Dillon. And we're going to talk about their story and how they ended up as a traveling painter couple, selling their work, working on things together in their amazing custom-built box truck. And so yeah, this is Doug Ferrari and Flamgu.
Howdy.
Yeah, thank you, Logan.
Yeah, this is so awesome. We were able to link up here in from Tennessee to now being in Colorado. I think what I want to start with is tell me how you guys ended up linking up together after doing your own individual thing for so long.
Yeah, well, we first met in 2021 in October, and we did our first collaborative piece together in December, and that was a piece that was a lot more intricate. It was a lot more fun. I think we whipped it out in like 3 days.
That was like a week.
Yeah.
This is actually it right here.
Oh, yeah, it's a sticker.
It's called Infinite Delight, and I think that that's something we kind of live by, is that we want to be embodying infinite delight with our work and to share that with others. Yeah, so I saw a need for like large pieces that felt good, and the colors were muted and like just pleasant to feel and look at. So we kind of started this side project to create these paintings that were desirable and fun, and they just feel good. So it brings together our collaborative sort of abstract styles, but they're still like loose and they're playful. So yeah, that's what we're here in Colorado sharing. And yeah, we're also creating on the road, and we're really excited about it. So
It's super unique, I think, to have you each have your own individual styles, and there's some similarities between the two, would you say?
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
But
yeah.
then to combine your styles together, and now when they're joined together, it looks completely different than in a lot of ways than your unique individual stuff, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about, maybe we'll start with you, Doug, and tell me about your style and how would you describe that in your own words, and then
Right.
Flamgu as well. I'm really interested in this. So describe your individual styles, and then we'll talk about how you describe the collaborative style.
Right. So I would say my individual style, it's very, it's definitely been like a journey to discover what it even is. But I think surrealism, like very broad brush, is surrealist, but also is, I don't know, I don't like to use the term visionary, but they are, worlds from my mind that I kind of put together. And a lot of times it's planned out, but the paintings, they're kind of like a diary where you like whatever day how you're feeling, like you choose a color. It's like you're feeling kind of bright, whatever, you might choose like an orange or different colors, so you can kind of see, I don't know, each painting is its own individual time lapse of maybe like how I've been feeling for the past few months. And not just that, like the color choice, but my choice of strokes too. If I'm, I've worked a long day and I'm just like, want to kind of let something out, I'll use more sharper strokes. And if I'm feeling more relaxed and one like soothing, is more flowy strokes. So, and like it's a balance between color choice and strokes, and but ultimately, yeah, long-winded answer, it's definitely, I would just say surrealism.
And what about you, Flamgu? How would you describe your style?
Well, I have a few styles, and I think what brought us together is our desire to create from our head. So they're kind of like abstract, surreal landscapes they're sort of dreamlike. They're colorful and vibrant, and they're almost like meditations when you create them. So like painting from your imagination, you know. I used to just paint representationally and realistically, and then I had a school project where I had to learn about an abstract artist, and it made me really respect abstract work and the process, like the mentality that goes into it, and like it's very freeing, and it's definitely like very much a brain exercise creating this abstract kind of work. So
Because it's very different than, okay, you have an apple and a banana on a table and you're just painting that and trying to get the shadows down. Like, very, very different than imagining something in your own mind and putting it onto the canvas, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's been a really fun challenge at the beginning to start, and then now it's just sort of become like a need to express in that way. And I think that Doug feels the same way about
Absolutely.
that. Yeah, so I think that my art individually, it's meant to kind of talk about like truths. It's sort of like the experience of living on Earth and like what I think and feel about it. There are deeper concepts usually about like duality, like the masculine and the feminine and coming together, the power of our imagination, and just the fact that like energy creates and connects all things, and how exciting that is to be a part of it. So yeah, and I think that's just what our art is sort of expressing, or art in general is expressing, like the essence of life. And
So some people that have purchased pieces from you, whether it be something you created individually or maybe more of a commissioned piece, what are your fans and your customers, what do they say that they like about your art?
Yeah, I think color choice is one. They definitely like, and they can tell that I maybe had fun doing it. That's like another.
that's huge.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I can, they can tell I had a good time. I'm not sitting there with doing a realistic painting. You don't know if they were like frustrated to doing it or something. But these paintings, you can tell they were, they're not just meant to make you feel good, but I was feeling great doing the whole time. So it's kind of it is my source of relaxation, and but and now it's definitely turned into a career, which is interesting. There's a lot to say about that, but I definitely the color choice.
Yeah,
And
I think people
imagery.
get excited to have sort of a scope into a different lens of seeing, and I think they want to buy the art because it's their experience with it, like how it moved them, if it's speaking to them in a certain way. Like a lot of times if I explain the meaning behind my pieces is what people will want to buy it because of that. So I think people like that, having that your experience with the art, and then they get to experience that too. So
Yeah, and there's things like art was a form of communication that where words or just can't really say, so people use the art to express themselves. And I think a lot of my clients have they feel like they relate to that. They see the colors and they don't really know how to say it themselves, but they're like, I relate to this. I don't know why, but I love it. I don't know. That's kind of been a consensus too, where it's just kind of hard to pinpoint on words really what they like about it.
How do you describe the collaborative style that you guys selected and chose to do for this trip here in Colorado, going to all these art shows? How did that come about?
well, it came about because of I did art festivals in Florida and saw the need for larger pieces to fill spaces, but then it was a fun challenge to think about how we can create paintings that aren't so heady, that aren't so that people look at and they're like, oh, I wonder what they're thinking, and then but you can just look at the painting and it's just like, feels like, oh, it feels good, and it makes you kind of happy. And it's our collaborative work that we're doing now is a lot more like visceral and like sort of gut oriented.
Mm-hmm.
It's very much creating like off of the moment, and we're not so like in our head with our little brushes like trying to make something look real.
Right.
Yeah, so it's been a really fun challenge to have both of them, and how do we get out of our heads to create something that's more universal?
And you're working on it together simultaneously.
Yeah.
Or sometimes, here at camp, there's multiple paintings kind of spread around the place, and Doug might be working on one while Flamgu's working on the other, and then they kind of trade places and switch to the paintings that they were just on, and it's really interesting kind of collaboration going on there. I've never seen anything like it.
Oh, it gets pretty busy at times where we're lots of paintings out.
Yeah.
A lot of paint out, and
Yeah, the key to these paintings is we just have to talk a lot about it and kind of talking about our next step, and that really helps because we have a goal and we are going to execute it, and it's been refreshing, I think.
Yeah.
Well, and now we have a little bit of raindrops here at Lake Dillon, and we have the paintings sitting around getting a little bit of raindrops on them, and that's just a part of it, huh?
Yeah, a little bit's fine.
Yeah. We use a lot of water in our process, so
it's kind of doing some work for us.
Exactly.
Putting the rain to work.
Yep.
Tell me some of your biggest influences and inspirations, when you were growing up painting. I mean, tell me at what age did you start painting, and then over the years, what were some of your biggest inspirations and influences?
Wow, I remember seeing MC Escher when I was really young, and that kind of like broke my mind open. Like, oh wow, there's other types of art out there, and I didn't quite understand abstract art when I was younger. I thought it was maybe kind of, I don't know. I didn't quite understand it. Maybe I wasn't like mature enough to really understand it, but there were other influences like later in high school, of course, like Alex Gray, and knowing the psychedelic visionary art side of life, and H.R. Giger is a huge inspiration. He did the art for the Alien movies, so that was actually a huge inspiration. But aside from that, nowadays it's it's really cool to see a lot of living artists who are just so good. I don't know. It's really fun and inspiring, and there's so many good artists out there that are just, I don't know. It fuels the fire. Yeah, I mean, I remember in high school. I don't know. Just kind of, I remember it clicked a few times where drawing and painting. I was like, I feel like I could actually do this, and it it's always felt natural to paint or to draw and
But what do you mean by I felt like I could do this? You mean like just getting started, or do you mean doing it more long term as a kind of a career option, or?
Yeah, long term. And I don't, I had done stuff in like for school projects, and it's always been fun, and people would compliment me and stuff. But then I think when it really changed around my 18th birthday, where I really kind of started doing stuff on my own. I was like, I'm doing this for me, I'm painting this for me, and there's nothing, And then I remember I did my first real painting when I came back, actually from my trip to Madagascar for a little bit. Did that, and that I have met some artists out there who really inspired me to start, like, man, you need to, start painting and not just do drawings. And
So it started out with sketches for a long time.
Sketches, colored pencil, oil pastels, and then I was really convinced by a friend, like, you need to pick up the brush and start doing some paintings. But it was all, it was so daunting, because I always thought, canvas is, $30, all the paints, all the brushes, it costs money. But I luckily had some beneficiaries who got me started. Yeah.
Well, I did art, throughout childhood, and always enjoyed it. And
Do you mean it like at home and in school, kind of both?
At home and school, yeah. School was really great having, and then in high school, I went to a school where they offered some really great art classes and had a great art department. So that just kept me going, and I won an award for something just out of the blue, and that's kind of was my moment, like, well, maybe I actually could do this. So that was my senior year of high school, so I went into college wanting to double major in science and art, but my mom was always like, you need a job or you can make money. So that was always sort of the background, like, pressure, you know, I don't think I could do this, but everything just kind of kept pointing me in that direction. I just kept following through with it, and it's just been beautiful since. But I started painting because my college, I was doing printmaking, so I always liked drawing, and they just required you to do painting too. So that's the only reason really I started painting, I think, which I'm really glad that that was a requirement. So yeah, I feel like it's important just following through. And some of my major influences is, I mentioned earlier about researching that abstract artist. His name's Roberto Mata. He's a Chilean abstract expressionist. So he did a series of paintings called Inscapes, and Inscapes kind of like, think about it as your mind is like the inside world, and landscape, Inscape. So those influenced me. I'm like, I want to try to do this and learn how to do this. So that was a major influence. And I remember actually when I was really little, the Impressionists were very important to me, and I think that was sort of like the beginning of our sort of psychedelic art. It was impressionistic type art, because it's sort of like Van Gogh is very inspiring to me as a child and still is. And yeah.
So let's talk about the murals. And as you can see behind, you know, right here we have the truck, and on all four sides of this there's different pieces that Flamgu painted. Tell me about large scale stuff and how that differs from, you know, typical paintings on canvas.
Yeah, I think that the large scale stuff is like, you really ought to put your body into it, and it's really good having a plan as well, like to execute it. That's kind of very similar to what our collaborative pieces are like. We have a plan and we put our body into it. So I guess starting out doing the murals was really great, the painting at music festivals, because a lot of times they have that, like you paint a wall, and it was really great practice to learn how to do it. And then painting them live too also teaches you a lot. I mean, you just got to use a lot of paint, big brushes, and it's a lot of fun. I love it. I hope to do more.
And then also, I mean, I can see your jacket here. There's a couple little pieces that you've added.
Oh yeah.
And you've turned some of your paintings into clothing. That's unique. Tell me about that.
Clothing's cool. So, these are all, I only make like one of a kind pieces, and it was a way to avoid using polyester, because polyester is not good for our skin or the environment. So it presented another sort of problem solving challenge, is like how to create clothes, art clothes, without using it. So it's very intentionally made. So these are sort of like upcycled jackets with my art printed on this cotton canvas. And then my mom and I started doing these together, which was really fun. And that's how I learned about sewing a lot. And now I make these one-of-a-kind hoodies out of those cotton woven blankets. And so it's another way that it's sustainable, and everything's a piece of art that you get to wear. Yeah.
Let's talk about the life on the road in the big beautiful box truck.
Sheila.
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 Sheila the box truck is they call her the noble steed, but she's a home on wheels and a art studio and a garage. The entire what do you call it, festival display setup, the tent with all these walls is all packed up in there. All their mini paintings. How many paintings do you think you guys have in here now?
Gosh, maybe 30.
Yeah, maybe.
30 plus paintings in this truck,
footage.
and the, you know, this painter couple here living inside of it. So I think that's really unique. Give me some of your thoughts on traveling in Sheila, the box truck, and what it's like to kind of have an art studio outside the back of this thing.
a lot of our paintings, we do them outside anyway, so it's been great to come to campgrounds during our weeks off because we do the shows on the weekends. It's pretty comparable to painting at home for us, other than we have to pull everything out and set up. But it's pleasant, you know.
Yeah, so your home studio outside of Nashville, you, as long as there's not rain or a lot of cold, you choose to paint outside.
Always, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that's
we get kind
yeah.
of messy.
Yeah, it gets messy, and you know, like she stated earlier, like we like to put our bodies into it, where we really, you know, there's music, there's dancing, you know, and that's kind of part of our process too. Is, you know, you'll be able to see it in the strokes too, where it's very expressive. You know, it's not like meticulous. You know, we're dancing the whole time. It's fun. It's fun.
I think it's so unique that not only do you paint together, but you're traveling together in the truck, and you're a couple. Like, what is this like? It's such a unique combination. I think you guys are very much, you know, have very similar interests, and it just seems to work. So tell me what that's been like, just traveling as a couple and painting as a couple.
You know, it's not easy what we're doing in a relationship, working together, you know, with our paintings. A lot of artists have trouble working together, you know, especially over and over, and not letting our egos get in the way, you know. But I think because we have a specific goal with our paintings, and we have two sets of brains, two sets of eyes, we can help each other reach that goal better, as long as we are not too sensitive about critique. And that's taken us a little bit to learn, but we know that we are each other's advocates, and we're on each other's team to get to the best thing. So that's why it works. And it's fun.
Yeah, we have the same goals, and that's kind of what we've talked about, is like, all right, where our values align. And I don't know, we could go down this route, but, you know, like our values align, and I think that it's good. Our painting taste is very similar, and being able to communicate and stuff. There's a lot of, you know, things to relate back to the relationship.
Yeah. We know each other's strengths and weaknesses too, and we talk about them. So that helps to, you know, everything is very honest and very much communicated. So, and that's like our painting process has helped with that in our relationship. It's interesting.
I mean, it is interesting, you know, like, because starting a business with a friend or anybody, it's like any type of relationship like that is kind of difficult, and then we've added layers onto it where, you know, we're a couple, we're living in tight quarters, we're traveling, and it's like, so it's we have to.
It's all an act of faith.
It's all
it seems like.
I know that you're, you know, working at different festivals in Colorado to sell pieces, individual pieces. Do you always kind of keep an eye out to see if maybe there's a potential place that you could paint a mural? Like, when you travel, do you think, how could we talk to a town or a city or a business or a brewery or whatever to say, hey, this wall is looking pretty empty, we could fill it with something cool?
Well, we probably need to switch into some of those gears, but at the moment, no, we haven't. This is a new endeavor for us, so our focus has mainly been on just getting paintings complete
and selling
and selling them, and on top of, you know, on top of painting, we're constantly looking for new places to go, and new festivals to be showing our work at. So that's, you know, that takes up a lot of time. And I did, you know, when we had to get Sheila ready for this trip, I, on top of that, had to, you know, we worked together on a mural for a nursery, and, you know, it just takes up a lot of time, you know, and like extra, but it would be amazing to do that.
Yeah, we talked about it definitely when we were doing the mural together, you know, getting together a flyer and how to approach businesses, but I guess we have not been on that gear for the past, everything's just been happening so quickly. So yeah, it's only been since March since we started these collaborative paintings. So it's
and it sounds like your focus has been on the festivals in Colorado and in other places. We have pieces on canvas, right? So you have small pieces, you have bigger pieces, you have and and that's individually. So Doug has his, Flamgu has hers, and then we have the collaboration pieces where you paint them together. Then we have murals. Now tell me some of your more long-term goals with the art specifically, what you want to be doing with that. Like, how do you see different mediums changing, different, how do you see that all developing over time?
In the interior design world, we'd like our paintings to honestly get more into not just residential spaces, but more commercial, like the dentist office, hospitals. There definitely is there's some art on the walls you see at some of these places, and you're like, golly, was there any thought put into this? And it'd be good. That is a consensus among the people that have seen our work here, that they're just meant to make you feel good and feel at peace, and that's definitely our goal. But staying up with the trends and the colors actually is huge. Like what colors are in right now, what homes are, what are like the popular colors and homes being built. So it's always nice to see that. And adjust our palette.
Yeah, I think.
What did you say?
And adjust our palette.
Just your palette,
which is
okay.
something we're learning right now. But Colorado's way different from Tennessee, so.
Yeah.
But I would answer your question way differently than you. I was starting to think. Well, I mean, I guess as an individual artist, I was like, I'm excited about my long-term goals. So I want to start creating more sculptures like one day, and like having like a big garden with like all these repurposed materials that are turning into these awesome things with light and flowers and stuff. And I want to make these cool like mobiles that are like for like homes with like natural materials and lights, and they're like sculptures, but they're interesting. I mean, I feel like right now it's like the painting. I love painting too, and I love creating paintings that are dear to my heart, and then I love experimenting and creating new paintings, and different people like them and they feel good. And I think the best part about being an artist is that there's so many avenues to take, and like and it's just all fun to create these different things, and hopefully one day you can create that mega piece that you've been dreaming of ever since.
Yeah, I was kind of the same. I would like to get into sculpture, and that kind of seems like an evolution in a lot of painters, even from like the past. You go back where it's like they draw, they paint, and then they want to make something 3D, a physical, tangible object, that they can touch. And that is definitely like a goal of mine, is to do some form of sculpture. And but also, it's always fun to take deep dives. I'm just excited about what because there's always new things that inspire me, and it's you never know what will. So it's kind of fun, to find that and always be searching.
It definitely, the truck has been kind of like a big project. It is like an artistic thing. I mean, but it's a very mechanical thing too, and it's fun how like the artistical and the mechanical can kind of come together. So. Yeah.
What do you love about creating art? How does it make you feel?
Infinite.
Yeah, I think there's, I don't like to use the word ineffable, like words can't describe it, type of thing. It's like, no, because there are words that can describe it if you think hard enough. But I think, me, I've had a difficulty communicating, like, my thoughts from a younger age, and like the best way to do it was always through art and expressing myself that way. And it's like, no, this is how I feel. And then people kind of get an insight into what's really going on, that that just simply explaining it to someone might not get it. I don't know, that's kind of, but it feels really good to release that, instead of keeping it like pent up inside, is to release what you're feeling and express yourself.
Well, there's something I think really powerful about just the creative process of constantly making something. The best songwriters never get tired of writing songs. They just keep going and keep going
Yeah.
and keep going and just release. And it's like paying less attention to what you've already made and mostly focusing on the next thing.
Mm-hmm.
So do you have just ideas of paintings floating around in your head constantly?
All day.
Well, I don't know. For me,
Yeah.
not all day,
Oh,
but I got
yeah.
them. And
Yeah.
thankfully, I have a sketchbook that I write them down in, so I can come back to them when it's time. You know, because it's not always time to make your ideas in the moment, but sometimes it's nice to let them brew. You know, let it brew.
So there's some
Speaking of which, a little coffee.
So there's some paintings that might only take you a few hours, and there's others that you could be working on for weeks on end, right?
Months,
Years,
Yeah.
yeah.
Years, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's some, you know, like the one that we did, our first collab, we whipped it up in a few days.
Yeah, I mean, because it hit and it was the momentum and the time. A lot of times with paintings, it's like doing it with the momentum.
That's a good word for it.
Yeah.
That's a good word for it.
Yeah. Because then you can cut back all that extra fat that would take extra weeks and stuff, months. Yeah.
Do you have any advice for anybody who wants to make art and is like being hesitant to get started, or maybe they've been plugging along for a while but they're losing inspiration and they need a little bit of a boost?
Mid knows about the boost.
Yeah.
Why don't you answer that?
I mean, I would say, if there's a song that they know for a fact makes them dance, listen to that song, get the brushes out, you know, have a blank canvas, gesso it if you can, but if you don't gesso it, God bless you. But yeah, I would say like, find a song that'll make you dance and pick a color that to make you don't have to, you know, don't think too hard. Yeah, don't think, just do. That's really the main thing. Is like if you think about it too much, you'll never make a stroke. You know.
Yeah.
That's really the hardest thing to do is making those first few strokes. And that's the thing is like you won't really know. The first stroke always informs the next, and so it just helps. You know, just start doing things.
Yeah. Don't be afraid to cover up something that you're not sure about anymore, because that could release, you know, so
True.
much extra space for what's next. Yeah. We've done that a lot, which has helped.
Yeah.
I had an art teacher in high school that he took my painting and he brought it over to the sink and he just ran water on it and just scrubbed the entire canvas off
Oh,
clean.
wow.
And he made me
What?
restart.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
And it was a
my
good
gosh.
thing though, because I was like, I think I was very much, you know, I wasn't happy with it. I was complaining about it. I was like reluctant to work on it and finish it. And so he just said, start over. And it worked. And I ended up was being proud of the painting that I had.
Oh, wow,
you know?
that's
But-
amazing.
But I think
Yeah.
maybe some people would look at it and go, that's a bit aggressive. I don't know.
It is.
Well,
I mean,
the aggressive measures, I think, sometimes are real important.
yeah.
Yeah, because we can baby ourselves a little too much sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's nice to
Absolutely.
have something like when we covered some paintings over. I think if we were individual, we wouldn't have done it, but because we had another person there encouraging us, and we had a goal, it's like, you know, we need to just cover this up. So
Yeah.
sometimes it's good.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree completely.
Tell me about your artist names and how you came up with these names.
Oh, she's got a good.
Oh,
good
I
stuff.
don't know. Flamgu, I came up with the name, oh my gosh, kind of embarrassing, but when I was like 12 or 13 and I was making a MySpace for my cat, and I was like, I need a new email, like no numbers and a word. I was like, Flamgu. So I started using it, but it seems like it's kind of fun because it's taken on its own life. And to me, Flamgu means it's like the energy and essence of like that saturates everything, and I like to put that into my art and sort of live by it, so it's really actually turned into a nice thing.
Yeah.
Meow.
Meow. Yeah. Doug Ferrari kind of. It's kind of a weird one. That's my real name, so. No, it was kind of a similar story with social media. It was someone else made the Facebook years ago, and it was a name that was based off an essay that somebody wrote about someone, and they had the Facebook and they were trolling people, I guess, and they didn't want it anymore. They gave it to someone else. He had it for a little bit. He didn't want it anymore, so then it got hand-me down to me. So, and I had it, and it was just kind of, you know, trolling my friends back in like early high school. And then when I started painting, I started releasing my paintings on there, and it's just stuck ever since. You know, Doug Ferrari.
The name selected you.
The
Yeah,
name
it
selected.
did.
Yeah. It was very serendipitous, and I have, you know, looked into it. There actually was a real Doug Ferrari. He was a comedian in L.A. So,
Perfect.
yeah.
Thanks for checking out this story with Doug Ferrari and Flamgu. Subscribe to Logan Let's Go and check out their art online. It's on Instagram, right?
It is.
Yeah, cool. I'll put it up on the screen here. But yeah, check out these guys. They're amazing painters, and we had a lot of fun here in Colorado hanging out.
We did, yeah.
So-
Thank you, Logan.
Just some Tennesseans in Colorado. It's been awesome. Till next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.